Even though episode 6 is literally coming out tomorrow, it seems like Gooseworx and Glitch are still having some issues with the episode, because based on Gooseworx's new Blue Sky post, it seems like the new episode might be getting censored on YouTube. And honestly, this whole situation is way more complicated than people might realize, because it's not just about YouTube censorship anymore, there's also this whole Netflix drama that's been growing behind the scenes, and when you connect the dots, it paints a pretty clear picture of what Glitch Productions is really dealing with right now. So let's talk about what's actually happening behind the scenes, because I don't mean to worry you guys, but I think episode 6 might be the breaking point for a lot of things. First off, let's address the elephant in the room, the Netflix situation. If you've been following the amazing digital circus closely, you probably noticed that episode 5 never made it to Netflix, and it's been way over a month now with absolutely zero explanation from either Netflix or Glitch. And that's honestly really weird, because episode 3 and 4 both dropped on Netflix the same day they hit YouTube, exactly as it was promised. Now here's where it gets interesting. Back when the Netflix deal was announced with episode 3, everything seemed perfect. Glitch kept full control and it was basically just a licensing deal, and Gooseworx even made it clear they could back out at any point. And the show immediately hit the top 5 on Netflix in the US, which is insane for a show that had already been out for almost a year, and let alone an indie animation show. So what changed? Well, Gooseworx briefly mentioned that episode 5 might need to be very slightly changed for Netflix, which is honestly already a red flag. But when slight changes take over a month to implement, those aren't really slight changes anymore. That sounds more like Netflix having serious problems with the content and is probably demanding major edits. And this is where the censorship angle comes in, because if you look at what episode 6 is confirmed to have, so inappropriate jokes, darker themes, and based on the trailer, literal guns and shooting, Netflix is probably having a complete meltdown right now. Just think about it. One of the teasers of the episode literally says, when at first you don't succeed, then give them guns, let the battle begin. We're seeing Pomni and Jax with these huge smiles while pointing weapons, and the whole adventure is going to revolve around shooting and violence. That's already gonna trigger YouTube's automated systems, but Netflix? Netflix is probably running for the hills. And here's the thing that makes this even more complicated. Glitch has been through this exact scenario before with Murder Drones. Netflix originally wanted that show, but they demanded major changes, including changing the title from Murder Drones to Meta Drones, because they thought the word murder was too violent. But Glitch basically told them to forget about it and took the show to Prime Video instead. But it's been thriving without any content restrictions. So now we have the amazing digital circus in this weird position where the show's usual censorship style, you know, this cartoon sound effects and Kane's face covering up swear words, it has probably been helping it stay unrestricted on YouTube so far. But episode 6 seems like it might break the pattern entirely. Based on what we're seeing, episode 6 could have actual uncensored profanity, sexual jokes that aren't bleeped out, and realistic gun violence. And YouTube's algorithm is gonna see this bright, colorful cartoon and assume it's for kids, which means any mature content is gonna get flagged immediately. But the Netflix problem runs even deeper than just content concerns. During all this episode 5 drama, Glitch announced a multi-show deal with Prime Video, starting with Murder Drones. And that deal extends to their other shows too, not just Murder Drones. So now you have this awkward situation where the amazing digital circus is supposedly on Netflix, while another show from the same studio is on Netflix's direct competitor. And it honestly feels like Glitch is already moving away from Netflix, but they haven't made it official yet. And the fact that episode 5 is still missing from Netflix while episodes 3 and 4 are still available is just weird. If they were really committed to the Netflix partnership, why would they leave subscribers hanging for over a month? And here's what I think is really happening. Episode 6 is gonna be the final straw. Gooseworx has already issued content warnings for it, the trailer shows way more mature themes than previous episodes, and if the Blue Sky post is any indication, they are already fighting with YouTube's censorship policies. And Netflix is probably looking at all this and panicking. They are already struggling with episode 5's content, and now episode 6 is coming with guns, inappropriate jokes, and darker psychological themes, so there is probably no way that Netflix is gonna approve that without major changes, and Glitch has already proven with Murder Drones that they are not willing to compromise their creative vision. And this whole situation is honestly worrying, because it's even possible that due to these restriction policies, we might not even get to see the original episode on YouTube, and instead it's either gonna get censored, or worst case scenario, the episode's release could also get pushed back if they can't find a consensus with YouTube. Because if YouTube's automated systems flag the episode for containing realistic weapons, uncensored profanity, or inappropriate content, Glitch basically has three options. They can either edit the episode to comply with YouTube's policies, which means we get a watered down version that compromises Gooseworx's vision, or they can release it as it is and risk it getting age restricted or completely demonetized, which hurts their ability to fund future episodes. Or they can also delay the release entirely while they fight with YouTube's content review team, which could take weeks or even months. And given that Gooseworx already issued content warnings for episode 6, they clearly know that this episode pushes boundaries. The question is whether they are willing to compromise their artistic vision just to keep YouTube happy, or if they are gonna stand their ground like they did with Netflix and Murder Drones. So what does this mean for the future? Well, I think we are going to see the amazing digital circus follow the exact same path as Murder Drones, so Glitch is probably gonna walk away from Netflix entirely and move the show to Prime Video eventually, where they already have that multi-show deal and way more creative freedom. And honestly, Prime Video has proven they are way more supportive of indie animation creators keeping their vision intact. Just look at shows like Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. These shows are absolutely packed with explicit content, sexual jokes, graphic violence, and everything spicy, and Prime Video doesn't bat an eye. Hell of a Boss literally has demons running around, making the most inappropriate jokes imaginable, and Has Been Hotel deals with heavy themes like addiction, abuse, and literally takes place in hell with all the violence that comes with it. But the fact that these shows can exist on Prime Video in their completely unfiltered form, while the amazing digital circus is struggling to get episode 5 on Netflix, shows you everything you need to know about which platform actually supports creative freedom. Prime Video seems to understand that animation isn't just for kids, and they are willing to let creators explore mature themes without demanding they water down their content. Meanwhile, YouTube and Netflix are basically treating any animated content like it needs to be family friendly, regardless of the actual target audience. It's honestly kind of ridiculous that a platform would rather censor artistic expression than just properly categorize content for appropriate audiences. So yeah, honestly, the amazing digital circus possibly moving to Prime Video would probably be the best outcome for everyone. We get the uncensored version of the show that Gooseworx actually wants to make, Glitch doesn't have to deal with constant content battles, and the show can freely explore those darker psychological themes without worrying about platform restrictions. The timing of everything just lines up too perfectly. The Netflix deal falling apart, Prime Video partnership announced, episode 6 confirmed to be the most mature yet, and now censorship issues on YouTube. It's like watching the same story play out all over again. But I think by the time episode 7 rolls around, we are gonna see an official announcement that the digital circus is moving to Prime Video. The Netflix experiment is basically over, and given how restrictive they've been, I honestly don't blame Glitch for wanting out. But let me know what you think about all this down in the comments. Hopefully they can manage to talk with YouTube about these things and we can all enjoy episode 6 tomorrow without any compromises. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.